Support for This Is an Experiment is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the exclusive offer for you. That is 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code EXPERIMENT at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 8 million balls.
The experience is the experiment.
Today's guest is not new to the podcast. This man is an artist. He's a singer. He's a drummer. He's a songwriter. And he's back for his second time. Please welcome one of my favorite people in the world, my good friend, Tristan.
What's up, baby?
Welcome
back.
Welcome
Good to
back.
be back, yeah.
I think the only people who I've had reoccurring so far on this podcast are in our group of friends.
I would believe that.
You and Danny, and then
Danny was on 3 times, low-key, because of the Dylan one too, right?
Yeah.
I thought I heard him in the background.
Yeah, he came on for you could see his hand. And then David.
David's been on twice?
David's been on twice.
Man.
It's crazy.
Young Crandy.
Yeah, young Crandallon. So, welcome.
Thank you,
Last
man.
time you were on, we were talking about you kind of starting this career as an artist, starting this career as a singer, as a producer, as all these things that you are for yourself. And now we are, how much time has passed
Since then?
since then?
That was February, and we're in, July?
Yeah.
5 months?
Wow,
Had to do the hand count.
He knows his months. So 5 months later, obviously I've seen you many a time
Of
since
course,
then.
yeah.
But for all the people out there who haven't seen you, give them a little synopsis on what's happened in the past 5 months.
It's a loaded question. A lot that I'm very grateful for. Let's see, so February, first song came out, She. And then about a month later, I played some festivals. We're starting about a month later. I played some festivals with Baby Jake, the bro, and David, Danny, and everybody.
What'd you do for him?
Drums.
Beautiful.
Did a few festivals with those guys, which was really fun. That lasted until about May or June. And then throughout that, I would basically strategically drop singles after every time we got back to LA from the shows. And then the whole EP, Nomad, my first EP.
I didn't even think about that. You really did play some when you...
Yeah.
Smart man.
I mean, you meet like a bunch of people
Yeah, no,
on the
it's
road
very
and then
smart.
at the festivals and yada yada. And then,
Absolutely. Use your surroundings.
it's a really fun way to do it too. I really like the organic aspect of touring, It's like you can just actually go meet people, and like some of those people have bought in t-shirts. And
Well, it's like this real-time...
really nice.
So much of an artist's career is in the studio, is planning, is all
Especially
these
after
things.
COVID, or through COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
nonstop.
Yeah, no, I think it's a smart way to go about it, the way you did it.
Yeah, I would definitely love to. I think the next step that I'm trying to figure out is opening on tour for another artist.
Sick. Is there anybody out there that you're thinking about that you think...
Dominic Fike, 100%.
Okay.
I know there's probably a long line, but see what I can do.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Dominic Fike.
Yeah, or anybody in that camp.
His name is Tristan.
It is indeed. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
love his
fucking
music,
sick.
and I think it works out vibe-wise. Yeah, so then came back, dropped the EP June 24th, and just been pushing it since. Been almost a month exactly. What's today? 20th?
Since the EP came out?
Yeah, so almost a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, time flies. Really does. Like the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks have been like go, 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 go. Did my first show too. That was really fun.
Looking back in the past 5 months, what did you encounter that you weren't expecting?
I didn't expect I was going to drum for Jake.
Really?
On like tour. No, I didn't know he was going on tour until I was here actually for Shabbat, of course.
When you
And
found out?
when David and Danny were like, "Oh, Jake's going on tour," I was like, "Oh no, wait, does he have a drummer?" And they're like, "No." And David's like, "You should text him." I was like, "Okay," which is really funny because like no one really knew I played drums, even though I've been doing that for like 13 years because I didn't really tell anybody when I came out here.
Well, you were drumming a bit in the garage in the house when you lived with Jake, right?
Yeah, but like a bit is like, even like an exaggeration.
You
like,
drum more
barely.
here.
What do you mean here? Like
Just at all
your
the
place?
jams, yeah.
Yeah, but even then, that's only been like twice.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's really unexpected. I
Well,
guess also like the EP kind of doing well so far. I mean, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, you know, never will be, but like, because it always grows,
it
not
always
because the
grows.
negative connotation of that. But
well, you were saying, we were just talking about selling merch, which when you're starting, like as new as you are, you know, sometimes it can hit, sometimes it won't. And it's just because, you know, fan base takes time. The kind of fan base that buys clothes.
yeah,
And you're about to break even with what you spent, which is fucking
yeah, I
huge.
should be breaking even like tomorrow.
That's sick.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's your first.
I designed them myself too, actually, on Jake's couch after rehearsal.
Her people find them?
Just hit me up on Instagram.
Hit him up on Instagram.
We in the DMs on this.
Get yourself a Nomad shirt.
And my shout out my Aunt Claire. Her company actually made the shirts.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah, that's
Shout
like a
out
wholesale
Aunt Claire.
company. So any other artist needs shirts,
Hit up Aunt Claire.
there you go.
So you released your first EP,
Mm-hmm.
released your first songs, went on tour as a drummer for a pretty established artist, and now 5 months later, you're sitting back on my couch talking to me. Where's your head at now, as far as, you know, you're 5 months out. You can now look at that period in retrospect. What would you do differently? How do you see yourself progressing based on what you learned in this process? And what would you tell yourself if you could go talk to yourself 5 months ago?
I don't think I do anything differently. You know, butterfly effect. You never know. You do one thing, and then it changes the course of everything. And I'm happy with where I am.
Absolutely.
I'm not content, but I'm happy. You know, not like satisfied, but I'm happy.
Absolutely.
And to stay happy throughout the process of all of it. If I could, what was the other thing? Advice to myself at that time?
Yeah.
I would say just don't let experiences, good or bad, change you. Like, grow but don't change, you know? I think it's really important to remember when you've made a lot happen and gotten to a place you're proud of, remember what got you there and like the traits of yourself and the good things about yourself and then the things you need to work on as well. But don't forget, like, you know, the discipline you had or the positivity you had, and don't let experiences, good or bad, shake them. You know what I mean? Because you can get a lot of attention and start to feel differently, or imposter syndrome, all these different things. Or you can, like, you know, feel a little belittled, and then you can't let that knock you down either.
Yeah, I mean, this game, the game of being an artist or of trying to make something happen that doesn't have a guidebook per se, doesn't have a set plan, you know, the variables in what we're doing are so out of our control versus the variables if you're trying to be in this position in life where there is this guidebook. You can go to school, you can do this, you can do that, and as long as you do the steps correctly and you work hard, you'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we could do everything right and still, you know, something doesn't click or whatever happens. And I feel like part of this game is having a relentlessness that is so forward facing and so obscure based off of, you know, regular people.
Yeah.
That you need to sometimes not look at the outcome of certain situations and pretend it didn't happen and keep going as if it didn't, you know? Like,
yeah, or I think just like learning from them and taking them into account and then just keeping it moving. And I don't know if everything happens for a reason. It'd be nice to think it did. I usually think it does, but regardless, shit happened, you know? So you just got to keep it moving.
well, and it's just one of those things. And I guess what I meant by that is like, there's going to be times when your social posts do great, and there's going to be times when they don't. There's going to be times when your song does great out the bat. There's going to be times when it doesn't. And like, that's just part of being an independent artist, an independent creator. You know, one day when you got a fucking $100,000 behind you per song, and you can push it in a way that is...
You can still flop though, even then, because it's all
Totally.
relative, you know?
It's a different kind of flop, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you're still like
you getting
doing
10
something,
plays
but-
for the first time is exciting, and then it isn't. And then you
Yeah,
getting
and
100 plays for the first time is exciting, then it isn't. then you hit 100,000, then you hit 150,000.
And then you want a million, and then it's always, that's the game.
And like the one thing you hear from artists that are starting to fall a little bit is, oh my God, I'm not doing as well as I did, yet they're still doing better than most people and still in a place where most people would give an arm and a leg just to have that opportunity. It's one of those things you gotta be aware of your situation, where you're at, how you've grown, and understand that it will fluctuate.
Yeah, everything definitely fluctuates, without question. I do think that it's definitely still all relative, and even when like someone's starting to fall off and someone would give an arm and a leg even to be in your falling off position, it's like, I don't know, for me, I still want to be at the very top possible. So any dip is like, oh shit, like I can't, you know what I mean? And it's not, but it's like, you can't get too invested in the highs or the lows. And I think that relates back to what we were saying about like learning from good and bad and all of these things. It's like the main thing that I've reminded myself is like not to get too invested in the highs or the lows. It's important to celebrate and it's important to like reflect, but also like in this industry, it's really hard to not take things personally, musically, whatever it is. And I think the most important thing you can do is not take things personally, is to be pretty objective and pretty like analytical.
Are you upfront with yourself are you upfront with yourself about that amidst, life's situations happening, or do you think that's something that's easier said than done?
What, being like objective and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely conscious of it. Sometimes it just takes more effort to remind yourself, but like, I think since I was about like 19, I've been really good at that, because I used to be like the worst. I used to be like super, emotional about everything and take it a little personally and yada yada. Or even like when I would listen to something I made, if it wasn't like perfect, I would be like, oh, like I suck or blah, 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 instead of this sucks. Or like I could be better, this could be better. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just one of those things. You have to be aware of your flaws, be aware of your successes, learn from them, use them, but don't dwell on them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like when you take yourself out of it, then it's just purely like sport. It's purely like analytical. It's purely like, you take yourself out of it, it's like, oh, okay, I need to get better at singing. Cool. Or like, oh, I missed that note. Let me hit that note, instead of like, oh, I missed that note. It's like, it's really just you just flip a switch in your brain and then it clicks.
What could you be doing better? You personally.
I think I've learned recently that sometimes our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses at the same time. So I think my greatest strength might be like my versatility and ability. I think like on paper overall, like I can drum, I can produce, I can write, I can sing, whatever it is, like direct the artwork for all of my stuff, whatever. And I think that can be a weakness, because you can overwhelm yourself, or you can like fall in one area and rise in the other. Like it can,
Yeah.
So I think understanding that, and then now I'm going to just focus on my music mainly. And put the time to it that it deserves, because I've drummed, I've produced for other people, done all these things, and still do. But generally, when I'm doing those things, I'm thinking, okay, how can I apply this to my music and myself as an artist? And how can I learn on this tour for when I do a tour? How can I learn in this session? Like how'd that singer hit that run?
It's like this spread yourself too thin sort of idea. And I think the way I like to think about it more is if you remember those like silicone balls full of gel or whatever, like you could like squeeze them. They're from like I don't know, you might be too young. They're from the 90s.
I'm a young lad.
But if you got something that was like that elastic, had that sort of like bounce back, you could spread that out, let it hit all the areas, and then it comes right back.
It does.
And as long as you can imprint some of that information that you spread yourself across for a second and then go back to home base, I think that's I think that is that's part of the key. Is you have to know what days to spread yourself too thin in order to grab different pieces of information from different places.
And I love doing that. I love like being able to just do music nonstop, because like I can support myself from drumming or this or that, you know what I mean? And not that's like the benefit of doing all these different things. Yeah. Then the downside is music always takes more time,
Well,
like to see even financial benefit from, it always takes more time.
Well, and you got to think about this shit too. Like, what we're making is a commodity. It's something that people want.
Yeah, it's a
You
product.
just have to be able to get it in front of their face, and you have to find the people that need it and want it. And
Yeah.
like, as if you were opening up a dentist office or a fucking chocolate factory, you're gonna open it up.
Those two places hate each other.
That's true. I guess. I didn't really think about it that way. Either way, whatever you're opening, like there could be a huge need for. There's always going to be a need for a dentist.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that just because you start up a clinic or an office that it's going to do amazing off the bat. You have to put in the work to get the people that you can.
Yeah, like
show them what you can do, and then let them tell friends. And
no
let them
small
tell friends.
artist has like crazy first week numbers unless there's like some behind the scenes stuff going on.
There has to be money be put behind it at that point.
Yeah.
There's this threshold that I believe in where you have to be so good to hit this threshold.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the threshold, talent is not a factor.
I've been saying that. I agree with that 100%.
I think
That's
the first
been
75,
something I realized.
though,
Like,
the first
yeah.
75% is the talent. You have to get to that line.
Because then it's like once you're above that, you don't really hear people above that line making bad songs or like putting them out.
Yeah.
They just might not be like the best. At that point, it's just subjective. It's not like your cousin on GarageBand and he's like 7.
Yeah.
That's below the line.
Well, there's a hobby and there's a profession. And
Yeah.
I've been in this industry for a minute. You're newer to it, but you're getting your feet wet for sure.
Moves quick.
But it's just one of those things that like you have to hit that threshold, and when you think you're there, you're probably not. And when you think you're there after that, you're probably not. And it's always going to be moving up a little bit.
Yeah,
But
that's the best
closer
part,
you're
though.
That's why
Is that
we
you
do
just
it.
always, there's no, like, Michael Jackson was singing until he died.
Yeah, well,
Like,
this could
all
be-
these people, you know what I mean? They just keep going because
Gotta
it's
think
out of
about
love
this like
at the end of the day. It is an addiction.
It's something that
sure.
you got to figure out a way to get what you need, no matter what it takes.
Yeah, you got to get
Let-
your fix.
For us, that's writing that new song. That's when you have that new idea, putting it into fruition.
Yeah, bringing it into the world.
bringing it into fruition. You just gotta. I don't know. There's this resilience. Resilience.
That's the number one, resilience. I know what you mean, though. That's like the number one thing you have to have, I think. I mean, like talent. I was a friend of mine. She's actually a few years younger than me, like 2 years younger than me from high school. We were in band together, and she's about to go to Belmont. Was like asking me questions, like studio stuff, like random stuff. And then we were just talking about like how it's like 90% mental and like 90%, like resilience. And like if you look at most of the people at the top of all time, the technical, classically trained, whatever people aren't always the ones at the top.
No.
Like it's very rare that like you have like the John Mayers and the Prince who are like super technically adept and also really creative. But like for the most part, like I don't know, someone like Kanye or Drake, you're not like, oh man, like Drake sings like he went to Juilliard. Like, nah, not at all. He just does his thing, and then he just mentally probably pushes the rest of the way.
Well, there's a talent of being able to create quality art.
Yeah.
There's a talent of being able to create art that connects with the masses.
Yeah.
And those are two different things that have to
But that's also
merge.
subjective. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the
oh,
quality
totally.
part's subjective.
It is, but it also there's this level.
It's 75% still, yeah.
Like I guess we are in a day of age where you can make a shit song, and if you can find a way for it to connect to people, a shit
Longevity
song could be
is
a
the
huge
thing.
song.
Longevity is a thing now that we have to look for.
Yeah.
And probably always has been, but we just see more of the small stuff now.
Well, that's the thing. Do you want your song? I'm not saying don't take the wins that you can take, but I'm saying, do you want your song to be a TikTok moment that does well for a week, or do you want your song to be a slow creeping song that does well for 50 years? I'm picking the 50 years.
Yeah,
I
100%.
want my song to outlive me, not outlive a trend.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I couldn't say it better myself.
So where can we see you in the next 5 months?
Next 5 months, I'm going to have a few more songs coming out towards the end of this year. Hopefully we figure this tour thing out. I'm going to make some things happen. Another EP is already in the works for sure. Originally, I wanted to do it this year. We'll see. If not, it'll be very early next year.
Sick. Get time.
Yeah, we got time, I think.
We always got time.
Never know. But yeah, that's what's going on.
Maybe when it all ends, you still have time. It's just no longer yours to use.
That's deep.
High thoughts with Brad.
Yeah, for real.
All right.
Except you're the only one who's high.
And I'm not even. I guess I'm a little high. I love you, dude.
Love you too, man.
Thank you. What do you? Oh my god! I almost didn't see that.
You almost didn't. That would have been really embarrassing. I'd have to cut that clip.
Yeah, no, fuck
Still
it.
might.
People, I'm human. I'm human. You're also like, it's interesting because now that I'm going over and having these like second episodes with people, it's all ends up so far being the people that I, gonna be with either way, who are my friends, who
Yeah, like who you're hanging out with,
conversation,
regardless.
and it's amazing how this podcast, when it started, it felt like this regimen that I had to stick to, and not in a bad way. It was just more of this like, okay, we're going to do every episode like this. Like, if you don't do this, then the episode's fucked up if you don't follow the structure. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm realizing my favorite part about this is the nonchalantness. It's the fact that these are conversations that you and I would be having very similarly if there wasn't cameras and microphones.
And that can kind of be your shtick, too, because, like, so many interviews are so, talking points and planned out and structured that, like, it's also the vibe in here. Like I was telling you right before we started, I was like, man, sometimes I just want to like just say a bunch of shit in these interviews and just like really just get it all off my chest, whatever I have planned, whatever I'm working on, like goals, aspirations, whatever. And then I come in here and I'm just like, I mean, the Luna's right here. It's just very relaxing. Well, so they go together.
And that's my goal. And like, I don't know, I could cut a bunch of bullshit, but at what point am I pretending to be somebody that I'm not? I am a zany, zony person sometimes who doesn't see people give him handshakes.
Yeah, and
if I cut that out, then
you wear in-ears because you can't take the hat off.
Exactly.
That's like a thing,
It literally doesn't come off.
I've never seen the top of your head.
I don't have one.
That's what I thought.
And that's how we end this.
Very good.
I love you, Tristan.
Love you too, brother.
I'm proud of you. You're fucking kicking ass.
You as well.
Everybody, go listen to Nomad. It's out. There's new music coming from this man soon. Go buy a t-shirt. Make that guy fucking double his profits. Let's make it happen.
That's the plan.
Keep kicking ass, brother. And thank you.
Do I need to say that this is an experiment?
Oh, we're going to say it.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
And to everybody listening,
this is an experiment.
Oh my God, he fucked it up. I'm going to keep that in too. I'm not even going to cut it. You got to say,
are we supposed to say it at the same time?
I'm Tristan.
Oh shit, that's
and
right.
How are they going to know who you are? What is she doing? All right, let's try this again.
Did you see Luna?
And to everybody listening,
I'm Tristan, and this is an experiment.
And that's how you fucking do it.
There we go. Bada boom, bada bing.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, that was smooth.
The experience is the experiment.